Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tessie and today we'll be making this top as shown on the screen. If you're new to this channel, you're welcome, and if you're yet to subscribe, kindly do that and let's get right into the video. So I folded my pattern paper into two. Now for an off shoulder bustier, you minus 1.5 or 1 inches from your shoulder measurement. So the shoulder I'm working with divided by 2 will give me 7.5. So I'm going to minus 1.5 from the shoulder. So as you can see, I have 7.5, right? So I'll minus 1.5 from it. You can see I took my tape and I minus 1.5 and I'll be chalking the 7.5 on the pattern. So now you determine how off you want your off shoulder to be. So for me, I'm going to be working with 6 inches. So guys, as you can see, I placed my tape at that 6 inches that I took off. So from that point, I'll be taking my measurements. So from that 6 inches, I chalked my chest line, which is 8.5, my bust point at 10.5, my under bust at 13.5, and my top length, which is my waistline, is 17 inches. I'll be adding extra 1 inch for joining allowance. That's 18. So you can see I have my point. So what I did next was to connect all the lines. After connecting my lines, I indicated my chest line, bust point, under bust, and my waist line. So what I'll be doing next is chalking how deep I want the front backs to be. So from the waist, I chalked 7 inches. So mine will be 7 inches. Yours can be 8, depending on your preference. So now you take your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Mine is 3.5. I added half an inch to it. That's 4. So I'm going to be chalking 4 inches on all the lines. After chalking 4 inches, I connected it into a straight line. So what I'll do next is place my dart. So on the underbust, I'll be using 1 inch on both sides. So as you can see, I chalked 1 inch on both sides. Then I'm going to connect that line straight down to the bust. So on the chest line, I'll be coming in by half an inch on both sides. So I came in by half an inch on both sides. Then on the bust point line, I'll be coming down by half an inch and I'll be going up by half an inch just to eliminate the point. So now I'm going to connect my lines to the half an inch that I came down at using my curve ruler. As you can see, after connecting, I'll do the same thing at the top part. I'm going to connect it to the half an inch I came up at. So I'll do the same thing for this other side. So guys, we are done with the dart. I'm going to tick out the areas that I'll be taking out and replacing. So guys, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly do that and let's get back to the video. So after taking out my dart, I'll replace it back on my pattern. So on the shoulder area, that's the chest line, I took half an inch on both sides. I replaced it back on this point, and on the chest line area, I'll be taking my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll replace back the dart I took on that area, and I'll be adding extra 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Now I'll go ahead now to curve in my armhole. So what I'll do next is I'll take my under bust measurement divided by 4. I'll replace back the dart I took and I'll be adding extra 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Same thing goes for the waist. Take your waist measurement divided by 4, replace back the dart you took and add your sewing allowance. Then go ahead now to connect the lines together. So after connecting, this is what it looks like. So what I'll do is connect from the waist all the way down to the back line. So I just came down by half an inch, then connected the half an inch to the waistline. And from that point, I'm just going to connect it all the way down here. So guys, we'll go ahead now to connect the line. So we're good to go with the front pattern. I'll go ahead now to cut out my pattern. So now you can choose any neckline that you want. For me, I'm just going to leave mine straight. So I'll go ahead now to cut out the pattern. So guys, after cutting out my pattern, I just went ahead to label my pattern. my bust point, my underbust, and my waist. So we're good to go. So for the back, I folded my pattern paper into two. Then I'm going to be taking my zip allowance line. So I'll be using 2 inches. So I went ahead to connect it into a straight line and label that part as my zip allowance. So we're going to be doing the same thing we did in the front. So on the starting point, my shoulder divided by 2 7.5, I'll be taking 1.5 off the pattern. So go ahead, take 1.5 off since it's an off shoulder. Then I chalked the 7.5 there. So what I'll do next is I'll be taking 6 inches off as well for the back. So what I did next was to chalk my armhole line and my waistline. That's my top length. So the top length is 17 inches plus 1 inches for sewing allowance. That's 18. So I'll go ahead now to connect my lines together. So guys, after connecting the lines, I indicated my line. So on the chest line, I took my bust measurement divided by 4. Then I added 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So what I did next was to curve out my armhole. So now I'll take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. The nipple to nipple divided by 2 is 4. I went ahead to chalk 4 inches all the way down. Then I connected it into a straight line. So I'll be taking my dart. So on the waistline, I'll be taking half an inch on both sides. So I'll go ahead now to connect it all the way up. So after connecting my lines, what I'll do next is on the waistline, I'll place my waist measurement divided by 4. Then I'll replace back the dart I took, that's 1 inch. Then I'll be adding extra 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So now I'll go ahead to connect my lines together. So the next thing I did was to come in on that waistline by 1 inch. Then I'm going to slant it all the way up. I don't want my zip bulging at the back. So I came in by 1 inch and I slanted all the way up. So I went ahead now to connect the waistline together. So guys, we are done with the back pattern. As you can see, I'll go ahead now to cut. So guys, after cutting, this is what it looks like. So we'll transfer to the fabric. So what I did next was to cut out my fabric, and I also went ahead to cut out the lining piece for each of them. So I added paper stay on the main fabric twice, while I added the soft paper stay on the lining. So I did the same thing for the side as well. I added paper stay on it, and I added just one soft one on the lining. So I went ahead to do the same thing for the back as well. So I'll be joining the front together. So I'll be joining the main pattern together. So I'll place it this way, then I'll place it together, then I'll be stitching by half inch all the way up. I'll do the same thing for this side as well. I'll place it together and stitch by half an inch. You do the same thing for the lining piece as well. You place them together, then you stitch by half an inch as well. You do the same thing for this part. Now for the back, I'm going to fold my fabric into two, just as you can see. Then I'll take in my dart. I'll do the same thing for all of the pattern. So after doing all of that, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So guys, I have a detailed video on how to perfectly pad a bustier. You should check that video out. So what you can do next is to attach your boning to it. So you can use your bias to create a boning channel. It all depends on your preference, but for this tutorial I will not be adding boning to it. So what I'll do next is to fold my fabric into two. Then I'll be shaping the down parts. So I just want to shape it a bit. So I went ahead now to shape the down parts. So guys, after shaping, I'll fold my lining piece as well. I'll place the main pattern on it and I'll shape the down part as well. So guys, after shaping, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So what I'll do next is to add the main fabric and the lining together. So the right side facing each other. Then I'll go ahead now to stitch by half an inch on the side and also at the down part and also at the top part. Then I'll turn it out on this armhole area. So for the back as well, I'm going to stitch all the way down and turn it out from the armhole. So guys, after joining, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So what I did next was to join my back pattern together, and as you can see, I closed the zip allowance area for now. So I'll go ahead now to take my measurement and shape. So before shaping, I want to work on the sleeve. So guys, for the sleeve, I folded my fabric into two. As you can see, on fold I have 12 inches wide, then the length I have here is 23 inches. So what I'll do is to fold the top part of the sleeve and also fold the down part of the sleeve, because we will be attaching elastic on the top part and also at the down part of the sleeve. So I'll fold and I'll do the same thing for the other sleeve as well. So go ahead now to fold. So after folding, this is what I have. As you can see, I folded the top part and the down part of the sleeve. So what I'll do is to take my front pattern and place that armhole area on the sleeve. So go ahead, place the armhole area on that sleeve part, and then you trim out the armhole. So after trimming, I'm going to use this sleeve to cut out the other sleeve. So I'm just going to place it on this other sleeve. Then I'll cut out my armhole as well. So guys, please subscribe to my channel. So after cutting out my sleeve, this is what it looks like. As you can see, my two sleeves are ready. So now we are going to be attaching our sleeves. So now I'm just going to open up this seam allowance area a bit. Then I'll take my sleeve and place the right side on the right side of the top, and then I'll stitch by half an inch. Then I'll stop somewhere before the top part, because we'll be attaching elastic on this area. So I'll do the same thing for this part as well. I'll take the other part, I'll place it and then stitch by half an inch. Then I'll make sure I leave space where my elastic will pass in. So you do the same thing for the other sleeve as well. Go ahead, place it and then you stitch. So guys, after adding my sleeve, as you can see, this is what it looks like. So what I'll be doing next is to add my elastic to it. So guys, I have my elastic band, as you can see. So I'll go ahead now to cut out my elastic. So I went ahead to cut out 7 inches, but the 7 inches was too much. So what you need to do is to take your shoulder measurement, you divide it by 2, whatever you get, you minus 2 or 1.5 from it. That's the amount of elastic you need. So after cutting out my elastic, I went ahead to use my office pin. Then I passed my elastic into the fabric. After passing my elastic, what I'll do is to stitch that top part in order to hold it in place. Go ahead, stitch the other part as well. So after stitching, you do the same thing for the other sleeve as well. Then you also attach elastic at the down part of the sleeve. So guys, after attaching my elastic, this is what we have. You can see the elastic at the top part and at the down part of the sleeve. So now I'll be attaching my zip. So I'll open up this zip allowance area. After doing that, I'm just going to stitch my zip on the top and show you guys the end result. So guys, this is what the top looks like. As you can see, hope this tutorial was helpful. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.